I help connect the donor with their particular cause. In other words, they say, I really like to do something about vocations. What programs are out there? What can I do? How many seminarians do we even have in the diocese? I have those answers at the ready, and I'm more than happy to provide them an introduction to the vocations director, Father Phil Ty, or to explain to them the 3, 4, we're up to 12 endowments that have focus on supporting vocations and seminarians. Or if you're interested in creating your own endowment, we could have conversations along those lines too. But the thing to remember is this: it's all under your initiative, the donor, and what you want to make happen with your charitable giving. I'm not, the old joke, if you see a fundraiser walking around, cover your back pocket or cover your purse. That's not the case with the foundation, the Catholic Foundation of the Diocese. We're here to help facilitate any donors who are interested in providing for a long-term support of their favorite Catholic cause. Now, just please don't come to me and say, well, I'd like to know how I can charitably give to Planned Parenthood. I cannot help you with that, I assure you. But the diocesan cause, a Catholic cause in the Diocese of Raleigh, is exactly right up my alley. And what's on the screen now, your stewardship, that's the other thing that best describes the foundation. The foundation is nothing more than an avenue or an organization that helps you organize your long-term stewardship. If you have a stewardship education program, for example, at St. Bernadette's or some other parish, oftentimes, it's all talk about their giving gifts of time, talent, and treasure. We only are managers of the many gifts God has given us, and God asks us and encourages us through Scripture to tithe or to give back a portion or a tenth of what we give, what He's given us. This is nothing more than the long-term version. The foundation enables you and helps you focus on the long-term needs of your favorite charities. So the bottom line question is, should I give to the charities or should I give to the IRS? Obviously, I don't even need to answer that question. We already know the answer. In talking to me, and I'm not going to get into a lot of detail today, but in keeping with this general theme or general question, those are some of the questions that I can answer for you, or in conversation with your financial planner or your tax attorney. I am not an attorney. I am not a certified financial planner. I am not a retirement planning expert, but the foundation has access to all of these professional disciplines. And more importantly, if I don't already know your personal financial planner, I'm happy to get to know them, because I can demonstrate for them some of the areas of charitable areas of need that exist within our Catholic community in 54 counties, and how it might be beneficial for you. That is always going to be a sacrosanct conversation between you and your attorney, or between you and your financial planner. But I've come across a lot of financial planners, and I'll cover it in a minute, who are very, very unfamiliar about the qualified charitable distribution. They know their client has an IRA. They know they're 70 and a half or older. They know they have to take a required minimum distribution, but they're not at all familiar with the qualified charitable distribution that was just enacted in Congress the end of 2 years ago, in 2017. They also aren't necessarily aware that if you do talk to your IRA custodian and have them organize and cut a check for charitable, qualified charitable distribution, to have it go to St. Bernadette's or Catholic Charities or some favorite cause, if they make that check out to you, then you don't benefit from the distribution. You don't benefit. There is no tax advantage to you. There has to be a special receipt for it. That has to go. The check has to be cut and gone directly from your IRA custodian to your favorite charity. It could also go through you. Some donors insist on having it mailed to them. That's fine, as long as they hand deliver it to their charity. But it has to be made out to the charity. It's just a kind of fine line in legalese that could cost you thousands of dollars in potential tax benefits. These are the kinds of things, the conversations that I have with tax attorneys and that I have with with certified financial planners. A couple of booklets that might benefit you. And again, anything I discuss here, you're welcome to ask any questions afterwards. And you're also my contact information is on the back of the brochures. So if any of this information you are interested in receiving, I'm more than happy to mail it to you. But what's on the screen now, the Catholic Estate Planning Workbook. This, at the very least, is kind of an inventory. It's a workbook for you to list your assets, your insurance policies, your family heirlooms, your instructions for your families in case something should befall you. If you have an executor, if you have an adult child or a sibling that you rely upon, this is a great instruction booklet for them. It tells the world, or anybody holding this booklet, what you intend to do with your assets. How end-of-life issues. Do you want to be cremated? Would you rather be buried? Do you want a columbarium? Do you want it here? Do you want it somewhere else? These are the kinds of instructions kept in a safe place that is invaluable information for loved ones or for an executor of an estate after you've started your heavenly journey. The other thing that attorneys kind of hate is it saves you about 3 billable hours of attorney time in their office by having a lot of this information done. Because if you don't, you want to get a will written, you go to an attorney, the attorney's going to ask you the same basic questions that are in that booklet, and rightfully so. If you have that already written down ahead of time, it's a great, great resource to have. The other item that we have and we share at informational seminars is a Catholic Advanced Medical Directives. We're Catholics. We believe in the magisterium of the Catholic Church. We believe that we shouldn't be cremated and spread across the Moorhead City because we love the beach. There's rules and regs about end-of-life issues and the importance about a durable power of attorney. This document, it's about 12 pages long. It enables you to have it signed in the presence of a notary. And this, once you've completed it, or you and your guardians, or you or your executors or legal representatives, once this is completed and signed and notarized, this serves as your durable healthcare power of attorney. A very, very important document. And again, I cover a lot of these details in formal wills seminars. They take about an hour long. We've had 10 of them around the diocese just since last fall. We've got about another 7 scheduled throughout the spring. If you're not already on our mailing list, I would be more than happy to send out our quarterly newsletter to you because it has the dates as those wills seminars come up. It would be very worthwhile. I might even encourage Father Fernando to maybe take an hour portion of this kind of a function some afternoon and have it a part of your agenda. I can bring in an attorney. I can bring in an associate of mine who will speak a little bit more in detail about some of these slides, and you'll have a lot more information perhaps than you already have. If you don't have a will, I assure you, you need one. If you have a will, I assure you that the majority of you have probably not looked at it in the last several years. And every 3 to 5 years, your will should be reviewed. You always have another grandchild or a child born. You also have relatives that pass away. It's important information to have. So at any rate, I leave that for your discretion. And then here's a few other informational seminars that we provide on issues of end-of-life issues. That's one example. I have an 88-year-old mother that unless a person is wearing a collar, anybody that speaks to her, she will swear that cremation is a sin. Well, I'll guarantee you, this little old boy isn't going to argue with my mama. However, I usually try and get the priest to argue for me because it is not contrary to the magisterium of the Catholic Church now. However, there's still people out there that would like more information on this, so we include that. Wills, estate planning, retirement planning. If you're interested in more detail about charitable giving, not just through a bequest, and I'm going to cover very, very briefly in a minute, in fact, right now, but a bequest is a lot of times the easiest way to make a long-term gift. Now, what if you need an income stream while you're alive? What if you have some non-income producing property that you don't farm, you don't rent out, it's been in your family, it's low cost basis. What if you would end up selling that or giving that to charity? What are the tax ramifications? Well, very simply, you could give that property to an organization like the foundation, which would pay you, based on your age, pay you an interest rate, 5, 6, 7% interest rate, a lifetime income stream for the rest of your lives. And then when you or your successor beneficiary, such as a spouse, pass away, the remainder of that pool of funds will go to the charity that you specify. If it's St. Bernadette, super. If it's St. Bernadette's endowment that I'm going to cover in a minute, that would be a great recipient. It might be to Catholic Charities. It might be to a single program of Catholic Charities, or another parish or another school. Whatever the case might be, these are just some options that you have. I had mentioned a second ago about the last will and bequest. Very important document to have. Whether you have a revocable living trust, which are quite popular, many have, it's still a good idea to have a last will and testament. Even if it's a simple will, it's advisable to go to an attorney and not reach something off of the internet. It's like if you have some serious symptom health-wise, do you go to medical PM on the internet and diagnose your problem and then go and self-medicate? Well, my parents would have, but it's not advisable. The advisable thing is to go to a doctor and say, look, what is this? I'm having significant issues here. The same thing goes with a will. Having an attorney go through a will, make sure that you have identified the executor that you want, making sure that you have a durable health care power of attorney, making sure that all of your intentions are ironclad, covering any instruments that don't automatically have a beneficiary, like an IRA or something like that. Those beneficiaries, those types of documents will take care of themselves. But with a last will and testament, it covers basically all the loose ends. A donor-advised fund, very simply, is a family-named fund. Let's say you have stock, cash, some kind of appreciable property that you would like to create a fund so you can park your charitable monies. In other words, there's some of you perhaps, and I've known others, individuals that say, look, I meet my tax attorney or my accountant at the end of every year. They say, I don't care what you do, but you got to give $50,000 away to charity. Well, a lot of times they aren't prepared to make that decision and give $50,000 away to a single charity. And then they have to try and think, okay, who's my favorite charity? I got 10 of them. How do I list them? How do I prioritize? A donor-advised fund makes it very simple. You give us in lump sum that amount of money to hold on your behalf in the foundation, and then you advise us whenever you wish to distribute it and to whomever you wish to distribute it. Now, again, in reality, I have to say this is an advisory fund, so if you advise that I give a charitable gift to Planned Parenthood, I am not going to be able to accept your advice. I know it's a drastic example, but typically these are Catholic causes that were related in and around the Diocese of Raleigh, and most certainly your parish. But in a nutshell, that's what a donor-advised fund is. It's very similar to a charitable checking account. At any given time, if you're not certain of a lump sum of money that you want to give and distribute away, you put it in this fund, and it will remain there gaining interest until you decide to distribute it. And it does not have to be done within a calendar year. There is no, right now, the United States tax law has no limitation on how long your money sits in a donor-advised fund with a bona fide charity. So it's a consideration. I mentioned about our 120 endowment funds. I just wanted to bring this about. An endowment is an instrument where the corpus is invested and only a portion of the income is used each year for the charity. And one example of that is the Schrader Memorial Scholarship Fund that St. Bernadette benefits from. One of your own parishioners, longtime family from the earliest days of St. Bernadette, their family, when he passed away, their family created a an educational endowment in his honor. And in their case, they felt it was his wishes, they preferred to earmark a certain number of scholarships each year for a college-age student that has the number of criteria. It has a financial need, is active in the parish, whatever the case might be, or is a St. Bernadette parishioner. The graph on the side just kind of illustrates what could be possible with these kinds of endowment fund balances. $100,000 could very well afford 4 scholarships to a grade school student. $250,000, 10 scholarships, and so forth. And again, it's up to the individual setting up the endowment on how they want it restricted, to whom they want it restricted, meaning their choice of charity or choice of specific programs. I just had an endowment established the other day from a parishioner in another parish. They said, you know what, I'd love to just put it all in one endowment, but I really want it to go to capital needs because we're still building. I want it to go to current capital repairs on our existing buildings, and I'd like it to just be unrestricted for any parish ministry. And I said, well, you're kind of talking, the capital stuff is one thought, the operational stuff is another. What you're really looking for, I would advise, are 2 separate endowments. And that's precisely what he did. He took his $100,000, he split it between 2 endowments. Now those 2 endowments have 2 specific purposes that will be offsetting interest income for that parish in perpetuity. And I can say in perpetuity, in other words, forever, because the foundation board with Mayor John as an officer make sure that we have a spending policy that's conservative, yet it still throws out money each year to make sure that our income on average exceeds the amount that we're distributing. So all of that money that's not spent for, in this case, St. Bernadette, is put back into the St. Bernadette endowment so it can grow. Some key people, just something to consider, some key people that you want to include in your estate plans. If you need a little counseling, if you want a little friendly advice, your parish priest, your primary care physician, your estate planning attorney, your financial advisor, your accountant, or anyone else in there that you're close to. These are some key people that clearly have your best interests at heart and are very objective in terms of knowing you well enough to know what your intentions are if you no longer are able to speak for yourself. Just a couple of things. John had already mentioned one about the Home Mission Society. The other is a seminarian partnership program, and I'll get to those slides in a minute. But basically, any participation in a long-term gift, whether it's an endowment, whether it's a donor-advised fund, whether it's any other type of life income gift or any type of plan gift, or it's simple if you remembered your parish or the foundation or the diocese in your will, you're an automatic member of the Father Price Society. We have a mass and luncheon once a year, Bishop Zarama, just basically to say thank you to you, recognize your goodness. We honor all the people that have engaged in a planned gift with the foundation or the diocese, at the same time honoring the legacy of the servant of God, Thomas Price, who, praise God, hopefully he'll become a saint very soon. And then you also, a lot of people don't know this, members of this society also have preferred seating at diaconate and priestly ordinations in the spring of each year. I had mentioned about the Seminarian Partnership Program. That's the latest pictures of all of the latest seminarians from back last August. We have 24 seminarians right now studying for service to the Diocese of Raleigh. The Home Mission Society, as Mayor John had mentioned, was started by Bishop Burbidge in 2007, and it's basically to support parishes like St. Bernadette was 35 years ago, where you had a wing and a prayer and a lot of hope, but not necessarily a funding source that could build a $500,000 or $1 million structure at that time. Nowadays, to build a 500-600 seat church, which a lot of our mission parishes are finding they need, is upwards of $1 million, $2.5, $3 million. The Home Mission Society, and through the foundation, we do raise money for this. So for those donors who are undecided, who don't really know what specifically to give to, will earmark it with their permission for the Seminarian Partnership Program or for the Home Mission Society. To give you an idea, if you're familiar at all with the parish in Warrenton, there's before and after pictures of what they had to contend with. They were bursting at the seams at their old church, and praise God, thankfully they've had a lot of an influx of parishioners, people hungry for the Word of God, and as a result of it was actually a $300,000 grant several years ago from our Home Mission Society. They've been able to build this beautiful church. This distribution precedes me, and again, as John had pointed out, officially it preceded the foundation because the foundation's only been around a year, so the diocese held these funds, but since the diocese transferred this $60 million to the foundation, which is now, as John pointed out, up to $65 million, we're able to promote these causes and really, in many ways, be the only advocate for any of these 120 endowments, including the Schroeder Memorial Scholarship Endowment that's here at St. Bernadette's. Thank you very much.